I use this method to farm this Mageblood plus more in around 6 or 7 hours. I've done the profit per hour calculations, which I'll show later in the video, but this method is at least 40 plus div an hour, and I'm really excited to show it to you guys today. Let's start off with the most important information for any kind of farming guide, right? What is the investment that we need? Not just for like the materials for the strategy, like the maps, the scarabs, and that kind of stuff, but how much investment do we actually need in our gear? You might see a Mageblood here and think the investment requirement for this strategy is incredibly high, but I actually had only 10 div in gear roughly when I was farming this strategy for the most part. The actual gear requirement that you need is virtually zero, and that's primarily because we are just running white maps for the most part. I was running tier 16s because I could handle them, but like you could theoretically be doing this on like a tier 1 map, tier 2 map, it doesn't really matter. What are we actually doing and what are the costs for what we're doing? This method is what I call the carpool strategy, because we are essentially taking 5 or 6 different strategies and then making them more efficient by running them together. So to give you an example, Alva incursions, if you're just to run Alva solo, which I've made a video on, it's around 12 to 15 div an hour to do. But the issue with that strategy is 90% of the time, you are not in the incursion itself, but running through the map looking for the incursion. The actual time spent in the incursion is like 10 to 15 seconds per map. But by carpooling it together with beasts, right, you're finding the incursions for free as you're looking for the beasts, and then going in and doing the incursions only takes you 10 to 15 seconds. You are getting around 0.6 to a div worth of value on average per set of 3 Alva incursions per map. That means if you carpool it with another strategy, you are spending essentially like 10 or 15 seconds to get 0.6 to a div worth of value, which is insane efficiency. And we just do this with a bunch of different mechanics. The actual cost investment for the strategy. So there are these actual dunes maps that we're running. We paid around 3C each for them, so it's 300C. We're running 2 herd scarabs per map. This just gives you more red beasts per map. This costs 360C. These timeline scarabs are like the main mechanic for how we profit off of Alva. It essentially just drops chronicles every single map that have randomized rolls for all the rooms, which means that if you have tier 1 corruption room, you have a 1 in 3 chance to drop a tier 3 locus of corruption, which is worth around 2 div. And then we're running 100 Kalgurans. We are looking here primarily for the lost shipments and obviously the Svalin, but that's pretty rare to get, so we don't even include the Svalin into our calculation for the profit. And then we're running 100 duplicating scarabs. This is for the beasts. It just makes it so you get double drops for the beasts. And then we're running 100 of the heist Alva map device receptacle things. This costs around 600C. The total is 2344 chaos, a little bit less than 11 div. It's incredibly cheap to do this. This is for 100 map runs, which, as you're going to see, doesn't take us that much time, but also nets us way more money than 11C, more than 10x this easily. But that is essentially the cost for the strategy. Now let me show you guys what it actually looks like in practice. Kind of give you an example of what exactly it is you're looking for and how the systems kind of work with each other. The scarabs that we want here are duplicating. I talked about this earlier. 2 herds, 1 Kalguran, and then a timeline. You only want to run the timeline if you have either a corruption chamber or a gem cutter workshop connected to your entrance. In this case, we don't, so we don't put it in. So we just open the map, and then we are essentially going to primarily look for red beasts. And then while we're looking for red beasts, we are going to take a look for the other content. So it's very important though, while you're red beast hunting, to know which red beasts are worth money. Now there's only like 7 or 8 red beasts that are actually worth money, so this task isn't that hard to understand. But in general, I think of things that like we don't really need to do. So these quillback monsters, we always skip. And then we just run through, look for the next set, and on the way to the next set, look, there's a Nico here. Ooh, we got 1500 Azurite. As you can see, you can buy 5 resonators with that. That's like 10C for free. We don't really want scorpions and we don't really want crabs, so skip. Come here. Spiders, we only want one kind of spider, and that's like the fat back blue one, like the big ass blue one. That's the one that we want. So we see the Alva incursion, we go in. We want to go into every Alva incursion, and we want to do pretty much 2 things in here. We only care about 2 rooms. That's the corruption room and the gem cutter room. If we have both of them already linked up to our entrance, then it's really simple. All we really do is we just clear this top right guy, because that always upgrades the room. It's just really simple to do, but we don't have that set up. We just check these 2 architects really quickly. It's neither one of them. That's unfortunate. And then we come here, kill him. If it was one of those guys, we would have to kill the correct guy and then look to connect the room to the entrance. Okay, and then we just keep on doing more of the same. We check the red beast. It's none of them that we want. This is an ore that could have been a shipment, or it could have been a Svalin boss fight. Either or are very acceptable. And then we just zoom, run through the map. This is why you really want movement speed here. Check these guys. They suck. We don't kill them. When you first start, you're going to be killing, like, we don't care about bears. We don't care about dinosaurs. We don't care about tentacle monsters, or like the tentacle blue guys. We come here. Look here, none of the ones that we want. We don't care about connecting the room. We just want to kill the architect. So we can go on to the next incursion. Oh, all right, DPS a little low. Like I said, build isn't that optimized. Come here, run through, grab the sulfite again. Oh, sorry, had this turned off. Grab the sulfite, check the mercenary. I would say if it's like more than 5C, then you fight him. Otherwise, we just move on. We check here. It says here, awards an offering to the goddess. If it says awards an improved offering to the goddess, then we want to run the labyrinth. These are around 1 div on average to run. They're very worth it to do. Otherwise, we just skip it. Then we check here. Okay, this is a great example. So we have the storage room. That's this room right here, and it has a corruption chamber. What we need to do is kill this architect and then connect this room to the royal meeting room. That way it's accessible. But we don't have the timeline in right now, so we actually don't want to run this room. So it says here we have 7 incursions remaining. If we skip this guy and come back to him in the next map, this room setup will be the same. We will have the timeline scarab in, which means that at the end of the 3 incursions, we will drop a chronicle. So it says 7 incursions remaining. That means if we do 3, that means there's 4. If we do another 3, that means there's 1 left. And if there's 1 left in the map, we only have to do 1 to get the incursion. This way we get the maximum value of chronicles / timelines from our alphas. It's very important to do this. You essentially get 1 additional roll, which is essentially a third of 2 divs. Okay, cool. So these heist lockers, like I talked about before, you just open them, and if there's a blueprint, you pick it up. You can pick up the contracts as well, but I would recommend you just skip that, pick up only the blueprints. Cool, crabs here, skip those. And then voila, that's the entire map done. It takes me on average probably a minute and a half to do 1 map, and it's just that quick. So like as you can see here, we have the storage room. The next time we go in, it will be a locus of corruption as the architect on the bottom left. We kill it, connect it, and then we'll add the timeline scarab now. Only use the timeline when you see the possibility to upgrade the room that you want. At that point, you skip all the alvas until the next map. Next map starts, you put the timeline in, and then you complete it. So next map in, and this map, I'm just gonna go a little faster. I'm gonna explain everything still, but I won't really stop as much. So we check that. That's not the beast that we want, so we just go on to the next one. Not the beast that we want. This guy is also not the beast that we want, so we can keep going. And this guy actually is a beast that we want, or it could be a beast that we want. I'm not perfect at this yet either. So I think that's an Alpha Hellion, so we want to catch that guy. Come in here, look, Alpha Corruption Tremble, bottom left, connected to the Royal Meeting Room. This is perfect. Exactly what I was talking about. Come in here, go bottom left, kill this architect, upgrade this room to the Corruption Chamber. Why is my D? Okay, there we go. 0 DPS. Like I said, you don't need any DPS to run this shit. Takes you no time at all. So the only caveat is if you find a room that you want to make sure you look for the stone as well to connect the room. This is a one-time thing. You connect the room once, and then you're good for like the next 4. We want to connect it to the left here, or we can connect to the top as well. That's also okay. But you just want to make sure it's accessible by the entrance. And then, boom. Get out of the alvas now. And then from now on, alvas are incredibly easy to do for the most part. Duplicating, that was probably good. These beasts we don't really care about. These beasts we don't really care about. But like sometimes you'll be in like a situation like this where it's just an absolute clusterfuck of beasts, and then you can just like spend the time to kill them if you want when you're first learning. This is very useful to do, but for the most part, they're pretty easily identifiable, the ones that you do want, once you kind of know what to look for. So it becomes very easy to skip them. It becomes a lot more efficient to do. We quickly check the rooms there. Don't have any of the rooms we want. That means we just come in here, quickly kill the architect, and then leave. Bada bing, 5 seconds, easy. Come here, mercenary, check. Nah, that's a few div, or a few sorry, that's a few C. Not really enough. We just skip it because we're making so much money doing the other content. It's actually not worth our time for a few C. Come here, none of these beasts we really want. That's okay, that's gonna happen. You're probably not gonna find a good beast. You're probably gonna find one beast that you want to kill like every like 2 or 3 maps, but they're so valuable that that's perfectly acceptable to be making a fuck ton of money off of them. This was the last incursion for the map, so it automatically will drop the tier randomized chronicle of the snapshot of the temple. So we have a tier 3 Apex of Ascension, tier 3 Sadist Den, but if you see here, it says instead of tier 3 Sadist Den, it says tier 2 Torture Cages. It's completely randomized. These tiers are completely randomized, so we can have a Catalyst of Corruption, and it could theoretically have a 1 in 3 chance of hitting a Locus of Corruption. Catalyst of Corruption is worth nothing, but Locus of Corruption is worth 2 div. So one more example, don't be a moron like me. Make sure you are clicking the heist thing every time. I forget to click this probably like half the time. You just have to click it once and it's saved, so it's really shouldn't be an issue for you guys. I am a moron though, so I forget to do that all the time. It just makes it so you have more heist lockers, and you'll see that here in a second. So bottom right here, we have a heist locker or a smuggler's cache. These have a chance to drop blueprints. These blueprints are at least 40C each if you sell them in bulk on TFT or... Yep. And then, so like these guys, like I have trouble determining if this is the right one. I'm pretty sure it's not, but it's fine. You spend some time, kill that. There's a sulfite. We just gained some azurite there. That's another like 10C. Clicked on the heist cache. Nothing was there. That's totally okay. Come to the Alva. Check to see for gem cutters because we already have catalyst of corruption. So then we don't. So that's fine. We just come in here, kill the Alva super quickly. Or sorry, kill the architect really quickly. One shot his ass, leave. It's just like that, rinse and repeat. While you're looking for the good shit, you also do a lot of the shitter stuff. I will say though, Alva, you should always be excited to do Alvas because Alvas are going to be like 40% of your profit. Beasts are going to be the other 40%, and this other stuff is going to be the other 20%. So this one, I actually don't know if this is the one we want, but there are some watchers that we want. Kill them just to be safe. If I was better, I would just know that off the rip, but that's okay. You don't need to be perfect at this to be able to make insane profits that I'm going to show you. You don't really, like, you don't need to be good at all. I am not good at all. You just have to be okay at identifying beasts. I wouldn't say I'm good. I am, like, okay at best. And I can easily make 40 div an hour doing this method. So, I think we skip those. We only really want the... I was told that we only really want the watcher packs if they're not with another watcher, weirdly enough. That means that they're the good ones, the valuable ones that we want. Yeah. So, we just keep running through here, clearing all the content. Check. Mercenary, not good enough. And there you go. That's pretty much one or two of those maps down. And that is all you really need to do. And if you look here, we have Locus of Corruption. We upgraded it, but we also won the 1 and 3 to drop the Locus of Corruption ourselves. This is worth 2 div. So you can see how like a lot of these mechanics are RNG, but like when you have so many of them together, the RNG, kind of the variance for it, gets neutralized. And that in a nutshell is pretty much all you have to do for these maps. You just run through looking for the beasts, and then while you're on the beast, you carpool all the other strategies and you pick them all up pretty seamlessly. For the most part, you're just like doing one click, like on the Nico, you're just clicking, the caches you're clicking. For the Alva, you have to go into the incursion, spend like 10 seconds in there. Not a big deal at all, but that's essentially how the strategy works. So what did the actual profit look like for these 100 maps? It was actually a lot higher than I was expecting. I was expecting around 30 to 35 div an hour, not including yellow beasts. And yeah, you're gonna see that we actually beat that by a pretty meaningful amount. So we just start off with the Chronicles here. This section are all of our Doriani's institutes. There are 14 of these, and these sell for around 0.7 to 1 div each, depending on how much bulk you have, and depending on how much people want to buy them. So we just settled here on 0.8 because we have 14. It's good enough to get like medium bulk values. These are our Doriani plus Locus of Corruption rooms, and these sell for 2.5 div each. And we actually don't have any Locus of Corruptions because we already sold them. We had 19 of those, which we sold for 2 div each. And that's this 38 div right here. You might be thinking, what are these 6 in the top right then? This is something that I really want to mention to you because I almost made this mistake and I don't want you guys to do that. If you type in Locus of Corruption, these will light up even though none of these have Locus of Corruptions in them. The reason why this happens, on the orange text, it says Edzodal was a Locus of Corruption. I mean, that's it. It has the exact same text as an actual Locus of Corruption. The only difference is that it doesn't have tier 3. So the way you solve this problem is you just have to type in Locus of Corruption with the correct capitalization and tier 3 with the correct capitalization in parentheses, okay? If you put this as T without the cap, it doesn't register. It gets fucked. So I just want to point that out to you guys so that you guys don't eat like a TFT ban or accidentally scam someone by accident, okay? The grand total was 14 Doriani's here, 19 Locuses of Corruption here, and 8 hybrid Locus Doriani's. Brings us to a grand total of 69 div just off of Alva, off of these 100 maps. Kind of in line with what I was expecting. I made a video on just the solo Alva strat, just running Alva on our own, and it was looking like you were making around 0.6 to 0.7 div per map on average with Alva, and that's over the course of like 50 maps for me, and then like 300 plus maps from one of my chatters who actually ran a bunch of just solo alvas on their own and actually introduced me to the idea that alva could be pretty profitable and very easy to run. So that is part one of the method. The second primary farm that we're doing here is beasts, okay? And these also printed for me. We have 6 Black Morgans here. These sell for 2.2 to 2.3 div each. So that's around 14 div total. We have Wild Bristle Matrons. These are around half a div each. We have 6 of them, so 3 div. We have these Vivid Vultures. These are 1.5 div each, 6 of them as well, so 9 div. And then we have Crasic Camerals, 1.5 div each as well, and we have 16 of those. This 6 div here was from the 18 Fenimal Play Directnets that we had, and we sold for 3 to a div. The grand total for all the beasts is around 56 div. So if you were just to do beast plus alva, you would have made 125 div. It's just astonishing how much money this makes. It doesn't take that long to run these maps. So where does the rest of our money come from? We have this dump tab of all the just random currencies that we dropped. Altogether though, this was around 9 div, which is, a very, very nice little chunk of profit here. And this is kind of our secondary, tertiary methods, like the Calgurans, whatever. And then for blueprints, we dropped 67 regular blueprints, which we sold for 12 div for all of them. And then we have 1 3 out of 3 wing. This is worth around 140C. And then we have 4 4 out of 4s, which are worth around a div each. So the grand total for blueprints was around 16.5 div for running 100 heists on our map. And again, like I said, the only really cost was our investment in Atlas points and also the 6C per map for the map device cost, which was less than 3 div, right? Which would be 13.5 div profit for heist. That's actually not bad at all. The grand total for all the profit that we made was 153 div. The cost, as I mentioned before, were the Dune maps, the Scarabs, the 6C per map for the heist device thing. Actual total cost 11 div for 100 maps, incredibly cheap. So the total profit was actually 145 div. And I know what you're thinking. Okay, you're running 6 different strats. Surely this must have taken you a lot of time, or wouldn't it have been better to just run one strat like beasts or whatever? And no, it's not. And no, it didn't take me much time at all. This whole process only took me 3.5 hours, and I ran it pretty inefficiently too, which is roughly 40 div an hour. I was actually concerned that 40 div an hour was kind of an aggressive calculation, that I just got lucky or something. So I ended up running 66 more maps on stream yesterday. It took me around 2 hours and 15 minutes to do, but I rounded it up to 2.5 just to be conservative. And it looks like the 40 div per hour value is actually a conservative estimate. I made 70 div in just beasts, and then I made 63 div in alpha temples, not including any of the other mechanics, right? We made 143 div in 2.5 hours, which is roughly 56, 57 div an hour. Again, that's no Svalin, no Yellow Beast, 56, 57 div an hour. The crazy thing was I actually dropped the Svalin as well. So you really should include the Svalin calculations into your profit per hour. You're probably going to drop 1 every 15 hours of doing this, I think is the math on it. It's an extra 5 div expected value per hour, which I'm not even including. I feel very confident in saying 40 div per hour is a very conservative estimate of how much money you can be making. This extra data set might be interesting for you guys to see on what the upper end of the variance for how much money you can be making per hour doing this method is. You might be thinking, oh, if you're doing beast, you have to be doing yellow bottling, and you can if you want to. I did it personally just to test how long it would take. Let me tell you, it fucking sucks, okay? It took me 27 minutes to bottle all of them, so it's roughly 50 div an hour to bottle them. But when you actually include this profit calculation into the div per hour, you go from 142 div over 3.5 hours to 165 div over 4 hours. So your profit per hour goes from 40.5 to 41.25 per hour. Yeah, you increase your margin a little bit. And if you don't mind actually bottling the beasts, then do it. This is a method where it's so good that you don't even need to bottle yellow beasts to make a lot of your profit. Okay, so what does our atlas actually look like? I will post a screenshot of this in the description so you can find it there later. But I already talked about the mechanics that we want, and we're just going to kind of optimize those mechanics. For our primary two mechanics, which is Beast and Alva, we just kind of want to take the very typical nodes. We just want more INR chances into additional red beast chance. And then these 3 nodes are actually really important. So natural selection just makes it so we see less of the worse beast types that we don't want. Wilds is just more of the good beast types that we want. Same thing with from the deep. Okay, those are the only real notable nodes for the beast mechanic. For Alva, we're just taking all of the Alva points that we can get to see more Alvas. We don't actually have enough Scarab slots to run Alva Scarabs. We actually teched into around 98% chance, I think. So you don't really care about the actual notable or these end points here. These actually usually suck. We don't take this one, we don't take that one. And these 4 wheels over here are pretty much just for alpha percentage chance. And this final wheel here is kind of like, it's kind of hard to explain, but just makes it so that you upgrade your tiers a little bit more. This isn't the most important thing, but it's just nice to have. But besides that, like I would guess the secondary method besides these 2 is Kalgurin, which we take just all these ore nodes. We don't want this because it makes it so you can't get Azurite from Nico. It's pretty much like we're hunting Svalin. If we get it, it's a really nice one every 15 hours. So it's just free money essentially, because we don't really have a high need for Atlas points, because we don't need explicit modifiers. We don't need increased map chance, none of that stuff. So why not just take this? Even if we don't hit the Svalin, we're still going to make a decent amount of money just from like lost shipments and stuff. After that, we're just taking like heist nodes. We want more blueprints, more chances to see smugglers' caches. This is actually like pretty solid. This is our secondary method as well. You're probably going to be making like, I think I made like 12 div profit over 100 maps. So it's just like nice little bubblegum currency to kind of boost our profitability up a little bit. And it's 0 time to do. So why not add them? We're taking this Azurite, the Nico nodes, to convert sulfite into Azurite some of the times. And we just convert that Azurite into primitive resonators. Oh yeah, also we take this 4-point labyrinth here just because on average, the improved labyrinths are 1 div profit. So again, this is one of those things where we run like 100 maps and we'll see like 5 of these improved labyrinths. So why not just take them and get some free profit there with like 0 time lost. And that's pretty much it. So with this Atlas, we were able to have 2 primary methods, Beast plus Alva, 2 secondary methods, Heist plus Kalgurin, and then like 2 tertiary methods in the form of the labyrinths and the Nico, the Azurite stuff. And that's it for the Atlas. And that's actually pretty much everything from start to finish on how you run this carpool method for 40 plus div an hour with virtually no gear and currency investments. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys like the video, please like the video, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I hope you guys try out the method and I hope you have as much success with it as I did. I was able to farm my Mageblood in around 7 hours doing this with around 20 div gear investment at the start. Best of luck to you guys.